February 1995, northern Wisconsin. Ojibwe land near the Flambeau River. Blizzard just tore through -30 wind, roads gone, power dead. We got sent in National Guard to drop fuel and find a missing hunter. Routine storm duty, or so we thought. But the locals were armed, quiet, and said not to go past the North Ridge after dark. We didn't believe them until we heard it. So before we continue, please make sure to like and subscribe to support the channel and comment down below where you're watching from. Thanks. This was in the winter of 1995, northern Wisconsin. Ojibwe land up by the Flambeau River, late February. 2 days after that record blizzard they still talk about on the radio when they do anniversary weather segments and try to sound impressed. -30 wind, waist-high drifts. Everything died quiet. The kind of cold that feels like metal in your teeth. The power grid was down, landlines down. Snow on the trees was so heavy it bent them like old men. You couldn't drive a county truck through even if you wanted to. County plows couldn't reach that far and weren't going to try yet. You'd see a single porch light here and there from somebody running a generator, and that was it. No other glow, no movement, just white. Snow was still coming down in powder, slow, harmless looking. The main storm was over, but the air felt wrong. You ever stand in a place so quiet you feel like you're trespassing? That. We flew in on Blackhawks from Eau Claire. Split lifts. National Guard detachment, mixed bag of us. Then we got moved in by Humvee and snowmobile from where they dropped us. Wheels were chained. You could feel every frozen rut through the seat. The mission was simple on paper. Drop propane and diesel and bottled water. Some wool blankets. Check on medical stuff for the elders. See who needed rides out for dialysis. Usual disaster relief checklist. Plus, one more line they slid in last minute. Assist in search for missing tribal members. Tribal hunter. Name was Louis Crow. Went out before the storm. Never came back. So it's fuel drop, welfare check, light SAR. Search and rescue. Boring duty. The kind where you shake hands and pose for 2 photos, handing off blankets so the state can say, "Look, we helped the reservation," and then you rack out in a school gym with a space heater and you're home in 2 days. That's what we all thought walking off the bird. Our squad leader was Staff Sergeant Maya Ortiz. She was 31 back then. Mean in the good way. Calm. Spoke to people like people, not like field problems. She never smoked you for dumb stuff unless you tried to lie to her, then she'd ruin you. She was the kind of NCO everybody outside the Guard thinks all NCOs are like. Yeah. No, most aren't. She was. We also had the butter bar. Lieutenant Jake Halvorsen, 26. One of those clean-faced, by the book, this goes in the report, this does not, types. Thought you could run reality off his clipboard. Wanted everything logged, photo evidence, chain of action. Could quote regs like a preacher. Hated not knowing. Hated anything that didn't line up with his training slides. We had Cho, Specialist Evan Cho, 24, medic. Smart bastard, always talking, always scanning. You could see it in his eyes. He was never just standing. He was always working angles in his head. What happens if this guy goes down? What happens if I lose the aid bag? What if the truck dies? He'd joke, but that was his bleed off. Then there was Red Sky. Private First Class Noah Red Sky, 22. Ojibwe. He wasn't from that exact res, but close. Spent summers up here with cousins. He spoke enough language to talk to the elders without sounding like a tourist. He was quiet most of the time. The kind of quiet that isn't shy. It's watchful. He was the bridge. We wouldn't have gotten 10 feet without him. We linked up with 2 locals they said were going to assist coordination, which is officer talk that means you're in our house, don't screw this up. First was Daniel Boya, 40s. Tribal conservation ranger. Land guy, trapper, hunter, knows every foot of woods by feel. Heavy winter beard, orange cap, old scoped rifle that wasn't for show. Never said a word more than he needed to. He moved like nothing wasted his time. You see that in some men. You pay attention when you see it. Second was an elder, Anna Kinyu, late 60s. She didn't wear a badge or any patch, but everybody there washed her face when they talked business, so you knew where the real authority sat. She had that look like ice and bone and patience. Didn't smile at us, didn't hate us either. We were just another storm to get through. Now, this is where it's already not normal. We roll in expecting the usual disaster scene. People cold and pissed off but friendly because we brought fuel and bottled water. Maybe some kids climbing on the Humvee for fun. Someone's aunt trying to feed us fry bread and venison stew because that's how it usually goes on storm duty. You get thanked too much, you get a stomachache, you leave. No. Nobody smiled at us. Nobody was casual. No kids were out. Every adult we saw was armed, shotguns. Old 30-30s. One guy had a revolver on his belt under his coat like open carry, wasn't even a question. People were moving supplies quiet and fast between houses like they were under blackout rules. Windows were covered from the inside with blankets. At first I figured it was to keep heat in with the power out. Then you see how they're pinned. You see how some are not just covered, they're blocked. Furniture pushed across. You start thinking maybe that's not just about heat. We unload fuel canisters into what passes for the tribal gym, the community center, hardwood floor, basketball hoops, that kind of space. We stack cased water, we stack MREs. Morgan doors are propped with sandbags so the wind doesn't slam and shatter the glass. Joe is already working. He's checking an old man's hands, telling him he's got frost nip, not full frostbite, wrapping him. Moves like a nurse, talks like a smartass, comforts without admitting he's comforting. Halvorsen does his thing. He's taking Polaroids of down lines and busted poles and snapped trees so there's proper documentation for reimbursement. He actually said that. Out loud, people just stared at him. Ortiz is leaning over a folding table with a paper map opened out. She's marking houses we hit, names, fuel needs, insulin needs, running radio checks to base. Reception is trash. Range out here is trash. We get maybe 4 bars of clear talk if we're within line of sight of each other. Anything past the ridge, static. And while all that normal busy noise is happening, Noah is in the tribal office. He's not messing around with cargo. He's sitting with Daniel and with Anna, voices low. He's translating back and forth like it's not just language, it's culture safety, making sure nobody steps in it. After a while, Ortiz pokes her head in, just being polite. She tells them, "We'll sweep north of the ridge in the morning for your missing guy." We'll start there. The room goes dead. No yelling. No drama. Just air goes tight. Daniel doesn't answer right away. He just looks at Anna. Anna looks at Ortiz and says it real calm, real plain, like she's telling a kid not to touch the stove. You don't go past the North Ridge after dark. Not this week. You wait for sunrise, just like that. Halvorsen laughs. He actually lets out this small little laugh like, ha, local superstition. Like he thinks we're all on the same outsider rolling our eyes at Legends team. Nobody laughs with him. I watched Noah right then. He didn't roll his eyes. He didn't smile. He just kept his gaze down. That was the first crack. That was when the air shifted from winter relief mission to we are in someone else's problem and we don't know the rules. After we got the fuel staged and people calmed for the night, we sat down at a beat-up table in that gym with generator light humming. Smelled like propane and wet wool. Daniel laid it out for us. No drama. No buildup. He said Louis went out day before the storm to run traps and check line. He radioed once. It was bad. Wind in it. I got maybe 2 words. He said, "It's not scared of me." Then nothing. Ortiz said, "He been lost before?" Daniel shook his head. "No. You think he had a heart attack or something?" Joe asked. "No." "So what do you think?" Joe pushed. Daniel looked at him like, "I'm telling you, listen." He said, "We found his snowmobile, still running. No Louis, no Prince, no drag, nothing. He was just gone." Ortiz frowned. "What do you mean, no Prince?" Daniel rubbed his face like he was tired of that question. "I mean, no Prince. Like he left the machine and went straight up." Nobody answered for a second. You could hear the generator ticking. Ortiz said, "Careful, uplight trees." Daniel just looked at her. Didn't say yes. Didn't say no. Then Noah talked. He didn't talk like a kid, not right here. He talked like someone carrying bad news that isn't his to carry. He said, "Last 3 winters, people been reporting things. We don't call the state for that. We handle our own usually. But this is worse." Halvorsen got his notebook out. He was already annoyed. You could hear it in his breathing. I don't think he liked Noah taking lead like that. Noah said, "We're finding deer torn up, bones twisted, not cut. Not like a knife, like they got bent and snapped. You can tell if someone used a blade. These weren't blades." He looked at us, made sure we were tracking. "Last winter," he went on, "2 dogs got pulled off chains. Not dragged, not collars ripped. Chains were undone. Clips worked open. Like hands did it." Joe blinked. "Hands," Noah nodded. "Hands." He kept going, but you could tell he was trimming it down in front of Halvorsen. You could feel that. He was playing both sides. He was trying not to disrespect his own people by making it all sound like ghost talk, but he was also trying to give us enough that we didn't walk blind. You could tell it cost him. He said, "Sometimes in storms, you'll hear something moving in the woods. Heavy, keeping pace. Too fast for the snow depth. It'll follow people. You see it in the corner of your eye, and then nothing. Elders say you don't answer it. You don't talk back, you just go home." Joe said, "Storm spooks wildlife." "That's normal." Daniel shook his head once. "Wildlife's gone." He wasn't being dramatic. He was being factual. And now that he said it, we realized it too. I hadn't heard a crow the whole flight in. Not one. No ravens either, no squirrels. No rabbit flash, no crack of branches from ice load. Just dead still timber. Even in winter woods you still hear little snaps in motion. But this was mute. Joe finally said what we were all thinking. "Where's all the animals?" "Gone south," Daniel said. "All of them?" Joe said. "Because of the storm?" Daniel let a couple seconds pass like he was checking whether we were ready for the real answer yet. Then he said, "Because of what walks behind the storm." That got no response. Nobody knew what to do with that sentence. Halvorsen sat forward. "Okay," he said, voice getting tight, "so, rumors aside, we are not acting on unverified folklore. We are here to provide aid, accountability, and establish a search grid tomorrow morning. We'll go north of that ridge at first safe light. We'll get eyes. We'll bring your man back if we can. That's the job." He said it like he was giving a briefing to soldiers in the motor pool. Nobody in that room nodded. Ortiz didn't argue him in front of the locals. She just watched him for a long second, then turned and asked Anna, polite, "You said don't go past the ridge after dark. Why?" Anna looked at her. Calm. Patient. Same as before. "It's not a story," she said. "It's hunger. It takes people slow. It doesn't rush. If you hear it speak, do not answer." Ortiz said, "Hear it speak what?" Anna said, "Your own name." She didn't blink when she said it. I remember that. We all sat quiet another 10 seconds after that. That silence said one thing. It was not a joke to them. We went out midday. Not even because we believed. It just worked out that way with resupply and fuel sorting and helping move a couple elders with bad lungs into the gym where it was warmer. By the time we had bodies freed up to go look, sun was already starting to drop. So we did a fast push and said we'd be back before it got dark. The team was Ortiz, Noah, Daniel, and Cho. I was there too. Halvorsen stayed back. Said he had to coordinate fuel logs and keep radio watch. I think really he hated following Daniel around like a scout. Call it pride. Visibility out there was garbage. Light glare off the crust on the drifts made everything white out flat. The tree line didn't look like trees. It looked like one solid wall. Breath burned in the lungs. Daniel led. No hesitation. No GPS, obviously. He just moved. We found Louis' snowmobile about 40 minutes out, half buried in drift. Ice crust up over the intake like it choked out slow. You could see where it had sat running a while after he got off. Exhaust melted a pocket and then froze over slick like glass. Engine was cold now, but you could tell it hadn't been dead long when they first found it. His glove was stuck in that ice. Just one. Right hand. Frozen into the melt refreeze. There was blood inside the glove. Not sprayed around like he lost the hand. More like he ripped his hand out fast, skin tore with it, and he just kept going bare. Daniel kept saying under his breath, Louis wouldn't leave his sled, not like this. No. Like he was trying to talk the world back into how it should be. We found something else about 30, maybe 40 meters off the machine. Tracks. Bare footprints, not boots, not paws. Bare. Human-shaped, except wrong. Toes splayed long. Too long. like frostbitten but not blackened. Deep set. Each step punched down hard like something heavy. Heavy like over 300 pounds heavy. No heel drag, no slip. Just planted steps. Controlled. And here's the part that really got in my head. Still there now. They weren't shallow at the start, and then weaker like you'd get with a barefoot idiot trying to run through sub-zero snow. That should have gone to meet fast, nerves dead. Fall, crawl, blood trail. You know how that story ends? No, these were solid. Every step same depth, every step like it belonged out there. Joe crouched by one and put his glove next to it. You could have fit his whole gloved hand inside that print and still had room. Ortiz tried calling back to Halvorsen on the radio. We all heard it. The radio came live but not clear. It wasn't normal static. It had texture. Closest I can put it is, it sounded like whispering down a long metal tube. Not English. Not words you could pick. Just too soft, too many. Layers. Joe said, trying to play it off. Cool. That's not unnerving. But his hands were shaking. And then it got colder. We were already standing in minus God knows what. Breath hanging thick like steam hoses. But then it dropped again. Fast. You could feel it move around you. Made your teeth ache. The moisture inside Daniel's watch crystal fogged on the inside. I watched that happen. I still don't know how that happens. Noah started saying something under his breath in Ojibwe, short. Repeating. I don't know the words. I heard it like a steady pulse. He wasn't chanting or anything dramatic. He was doing it like breathing. He was scared. And then Daniel said, "Lo, we're done. We go now. We go now." Sun's dropping, Ortiz said. "We haven't cleared." "He's not here," Daniel said. "We're going." Noah backed him without looking at Ortiz. "We leave. Now." Ortiz read the room. She nodded. "Move." We started back. Snowshoes. Slow. Keeping interval. So if one of us dropped through a drift, we could haul them up. Rifles carried, not slung now. Safety off. Halfway back, we stopped. All of us saw it. Across the lake, between two stands of pine, something was there. Standing in the shadows under the tree line. Far. Too far for detail, but you could see length. Not big like a bear. Bears look thick. Bears in winter look like round tanks, even half-starved. This was long. Upright, shoulders too narrow, arms too low, head too high. Just wrong. Noah hissed through his teeth. Daniel went still and raised his rifle but didn't aim. Ortiz said, "Quiet, don't point at it. Just keep walking." And that shape, that long shape, it took one step behind a pine trunk. We waited to see it come out the other side of that trunk. It did not. There was no other side of that trunk it could have gone to without us seeing it in the open. It just didn't come out. We didn't run. We wanted to. We didn't. We walked. Fast. When we got back, Halvorsen was hot. He was red in the face, yelling hushed so locals wouldn't hear. "You retreated," he said, "in daylight. You broke contact without proper recon," Ortiz said. "We found the sled. He's not there. You didn't clear north of the ridge," he said. "You said you would." Ortiz stared at him and said, "We also found bare human tracks in -30 that weigh more than a linebacker and don't show cold stress. You want that in your log or you want a career after this." He didn't write that down. He said, "We're not turning this into a circus. We keep it clean. We talk big predator. We talk storm stress on civilians. Would you not start spreading panic stories?" That was the first time I saw Ortiz get close to swinging on an officer. She didn't. But the air said she could have. Night came early. Felt like it fell straight down. We set up a loose perimeter more to make the locals feel better than anything tactical. Humvees were parked nose out toward the tree line, spaced like teeth, so we could crank ignition if we had to light up an area or bounce out fast. Engines off though. You don't leave them idling in that cold or the blocks freeze weird and then you're stuck in place by morning. Heat discipline gets real when you're in that kind of cold. You learn fast. We spread bodies by doors and windows. Daniel posted himself by the north side door with that old rifle like he'd done this before. At first it was quiet. Quiet like before, too quiet. Then we heard the scream. It came from deep north, past the ridgeline. A long, snapping, tearing scream. Sounded like a person. or what your brain files as a person, female maybe. High, hurt. We all froze. Then it came again, closer. Then, clear as anything, a voice yelling, "Help!" English. Normal, human. Close enough you'd think it was maybe 200 meters out. Noah said, very fast, "Do not answer." "Don't go." Halvorsen said, "If that's Lewis, we move, now." Ortiz shook her head once. "Listen," she said. The voice called again. "Help." Same pitch, same panic, same exact cadence, like tape loop. Not natural breath hold between calls, just same pattern again and again. Ortiz said, "That is the same voice. It's repeating. That's bait." Halvorsen didn't like how she said bait. You could see it hit him. You could see the reality crawling in on him, and you could see him fighting it off with policy. "We're going to leave a man out there to die because you think something's mimicking." "Mimic this," Daniel snapped. "Shut up." Then we all heard it. The voice changed. It stopped yelling help. It started calling names. Maya. Ortiz jerked like she'd been slapped. That was her first name. Then, Noah. Noah's jaw flexed. He went pale. He brought his rifle up but didn't point it, same as Daniel had done out there. It did not call Halvorsen. That part stuck with me later. I still think about that. It knew which names to use. It knew which ones mattered. It wasn't just shouting random names like it overheard in the gym. It picked. Now listen. I told you the people there were already on edge. I told you windows were blocked from the inside. I told you kids weren't outside. Here's why. While we were trying to decide if we were about to break our rule and go out after dark, Daniel and Cho swung around behind the gym to check propane levels, and they found the deer. Whitetail, fresh kill. Still steaming in the air, not frozen yet. It was hanging about 8 feet up in this big old tree, not by rope. There was no rope. Its body was just hooked. Its spine was wedged up over a split branch like someone had lifted it over their head and just hung it like a coat, like setting it on a peg. I saw that with my own eyes. I can still see that. Its belly was opened, not ripped out in a mess like a wolf tear. The stomach cavity was open, careful, clean. Nothing inside. All the guts gone, but not scattered. Joe said, "This is too clean for an animal." And then he looked again and said, real quiet, "But it is not a knife." Because the edges weren't cut. They were snapped, peeled, torn along seams. Like someone who knew where to pull, grabbed the right spots, and used strength instead of a blade. There were no tracks in the snow around the hanging deer. None. No drag in. No stomp circle under it like something heavy was standing there wrestling it up. Just smooth snow. Joe said, "That's fresh. You see that steam? That means something was right here." After that, nobody in that gym called it local superstition again. Not out loud. The next part is where it stopped being storm duty and became something else. One kid went missing. That was the line. Eli, teen boy, 14, maybe 15. He'd snuck out, wanted to see what we were doing. Curiosity. He slipped past his mom and went outside right around when we were all locked down, and then he didn't come back. His mom started screaming. That same kind of scream we heard out there, only this one was real. We all felt it. That sound goes straight in your spine. That killed whatever argument we had about, we don't go out after dark. Ortiz didn't even bother checking with Halvorsen. She just grabbed bodies and moved. Teen this time was Ortiz, Noah, Cho, and Daniel. I went. Halvorsen said, "I'm coming." And Ortiz said, "You're staying." And he said, "Negative, I am in command." And she looked at him like, "Fine, then die with us," and waved him in. We moved into the tree line north of the gym in single file. No headlights, no shouting, rifles up, each of us with our own cone of breath steam in front of our face. The cold was so deep our eyelashes kept freezing and sticking together when we blinked. We found Eli's trail fast. He'd been running. You could see that right away. His prints were messy, wide apart. He'd dropped a mitten. The mitten was half buried in powder. Joe pocketed it. Then the print stopped, not faded, not blown over. Stopped, like he'd been walking, then lifted straight off the ground. Cho crouched by that dead stop and swore. "No fall, no drag," he said. He didn't get yanked forward. He went up. Nobody argued him. Then we saw the tree. It was a big pine, good trunk, thick bark. Something had raked down one side. 4 channels, straight and deep, torn through ice and bark like it was nothing. I'm not talking claw marks like a black bear swipe. Bear claw marks are wide, spaced for the paw. You've seen the pictures. These were long and thin, too straight, too deliberate, more like fingers. Long-ass fingers dug in and just peeled that bark back in 4 strips, all the way down to wet inner wood. The stripped bark was still wet. You could see sap and moisture freezing as you looked, which means it had just happened, which means whatever did that wasn't far. The woods were quiet, I mean dead. No wind, no branch pop, breath and heartbeat loud in your own ears, loud. Then behind us, low and slow, not yelling now, like someone was standing 6 feet back and speaking soft to the back of your neck. We all heard it. Maya, it said. Ortiz stiffened hard. That wasn't her first name yelled in panic anymore. That was her mother's voice. Same tone, same rhythm, same way her mom talked in the couple phone calls we'd heard when Ortiz called home from drill. You hear someone's mom voice enough, you know it. This was that. Ortiz didn't turn around. She said, steady, quiet, like she was talking to a private about to blow a clearing barrel. Do not answer. Do not turn around. Keep walking. Halvorsen turned, because of course he did. He made maybe half a turn, rifle coming up, mouth open to say something, and then it hit him. I didn't see it full on. Nobody did. It moved too fast. It came in from our left. Low. Fast. No roar. No branch crash. Just impact. Halvorsen went down like a rag. It dragged him across the snow a good couple feet in one hit. You could hear his gear scraping frozen crust. You could hear him choke. We all fired. We didn't even yell contact. It was just muscle memory. Light up the dark. Short bursts. You fire where you think the threat is and pray you don't hit your own guy. For a split second, muzzle flash lit it. I saw pale, stretched skin. Skin pulled tight like it had grown too fast and then froze that way. Ribs pushing out against it like cage bars. Joints bent wrong, knees wrong direction, elbows too far back. Teeth like broken bone shards jammed forward from the inside instead of growing neat. Mouth split and torn from cold so you could see teeth through the cheek meat. Eyes reflected like a deer in headlights but set forward like a person's. That's burned in. Eyes like that don't belong on anything that walks on 4 legs. Then it was gone. Like pure gone. Out of our light cone and back into the black stand of trees. We formed around Halvorsen. He was on his back, choking, swearing, trying to get up but not getting purchase. Blood on the snow around his shoulder and neck. It wasn't chewed, it wasn't like an animal mouth bite. It was deep punctures and rakes, parallel. Human ant pattern but longer. Cho clamped hands on the wounds and started talking fast. Hey, stay with me, Jake, stay with me, look at me, he said. You're fine. You're bleeding like a drama queen, you're fine. Then, under his breath to us, these aren't claw marks. These are fingers. We hauled Halvorsen up, Ortiz called it. Back to the gym. Now. We're done being out here. And the woods around us started moving. Not branches in wind. Weight. Mass. Something big matching pace just outside of where we could see. It did not rush us. It paced us back. Like escorting. We hauled into the gym with Halvorsen half conscious and dumping blood into Cho's gloves. We slammed the door. Daniel locked it and posted with his rifle at the glass. Noah went straight to the windows and started peeling back the blanket just enough to watch the north side. Cho threw Halvorsen up on a folding table. Halvorsen was shaking hard, skin pale, pupils blown. He kept trying to sit up, and Cho kept pushing him back with an elbow while tearing open dressings with his teeth. We were all breathing hard. Frost coming off us like steam. Everybody talking over each other, low and fast. Then we realized how cold it was. Not outside. Inside. We had propane heaters running in there. You could see the blue flames through the cages, but the air was still dropping. You could see breath in front of your face like you were standing out in the open again. Frost started forming on the inside of the glass doors. I watched it creep. Thin white hairline veins blooming across the inside surface. That shouldn't happen in a heated space unless the heat's dead. The heat wasn't dead. Not yet. And then one of the propane heaters just choked. Didn't sputter out from fuel. The flame just guttered like somebody cupped a hand over it and smothered it without touching it. Cho swore and kicked it. Nothing. The smell started then. Copper. Old meat. Not fresh blood. More like old freezer meat gone wrong. Dry, rotten, penny taste in the mouth. You could taste it on the back of your tongue. Then we heard Eli's voice outside. Right outside the gym doors. It wasn't panic now. Not the scream we'd heard from his mom. This was smooth. Calm. Wrong calm. He said, "It's okay, I'm not cold." Then, "Open the door, please." No, his shoulders went tight. You could see muscle jump in his jaw. He shook his head hard. "That's not him," he said. Voice cracked. Almost crying. "That's not him. It's using him," Ortiz said. "It's trying to get us to break our own security so it can take more than one at a time." That was the moment, I think, where she stopped thinking animal that needs to be put down and started thinking opposing force that understands basic tactics. We all went quiet then. Everyone was listening to outside, to inside, to each other. Halvorsen jerked up sudden on the table like he'd been shocked. His eyes flew open. He grabbed at Cho's sleeve and pulled him close. He was white as paper, lips starting to go blue. He started talking fast. Not to us, more like repeating something. "It's starving," he gasped. "It's starving. It's starving." Over and over. Same cadence. Not like he was telling us, like he was hearing it and relaying. Cho tried to push him back. "Shut up, man, breathe. I need you breathing." Halvorsen wasn't seeing the room anymore. He was staring at the ceiling, still talking. "It's starving. It's starving. It's starving." Then his voice changed. It wasn't his voice anymore. It was Anna's. "I swear to you. I swear." Out of Halvorsen's mouth, in Anna's tone, we heard, "Don't go past the ridge after dark." Same rhythm, same calm, same exact way she'd said it to Ortiz in that office. Word for word, perfect copy. Everybody in that room went still. Cho's hands were shaking now. Daniel brought his rifle up a little higher, not aiming, just ready. I watched Ortiz. Her face changed. She wasn't scared like the rest of us. She was mad. She'd just got a list of facts. 1, this thing could come inside your head if it touched you. 2, it didn't just steal voices. It learned them like recordings. 3, it wasn't just mocking. It was giving warnings back at us, using our own voices to mess with our decision-making. It wasn't dumb. Ortiz looked at Noah and Daniel and said, "Get Anna here, right now. Bring her in. We're done pretending this is in our lane." Noah didn't argue. Daniel didn't argue. That said more to me than anything up to that point. Anna came to us wrapped in blankets and anger. Not scared anger. Tired anger. Like this wasn't her first round with this thing, just the worst in a while. She walked in, looked at Halvorsen on that folding table bleeding through pressure dressings, looked at us white-faced and shaking, looked at frost on the inside of her gym windows, and she didn't gasp or pray or anything like that. She just nodded once like, "Okay, so now you've seen." She pointed north without even sitting down. "It's holding the boy by the ridge," she said. "It wants you to come. It thinks you're food that can shoot." Ortiz asked, "How do we stop it?" Anna looked at her. "You don't stop it. You break contact. You make it understand you're not worth the effort." That hit me in the gut, the way she said make it understand. Like it understood cost and reward. Loss and gain. Like you could deter it, not kill. Deterrence. That's a military word. Ugly kind. We started laying quick plan, not a kill mission. Not even a hunt. A grab and go. We weren't going to chase that thing all night. We were going to go at first light. Fast. Quiet. In and out. Get Eli. Fall back. Show the thing we could hurt it and see it and make noise. Make it think coming in after us wasn't worth the meat. Ortiz said, "Why first light?" "Why not now?" Anna said. "Because I said first light." That was enough. We staged on no sleep. Dawn in that cold comes as a gray smear, not sunshine. Your face stings raw and your nose hairs freeze and break off. Your breath fogs so hard you can't see straight for a second each exhale. Cho stayed back to sit on Halverson with his medkit and try to keep him warm and alive. He also was setting up for evac in case weather broke enough for plows and a bird. That was the only maybe we had. You get a road punched in or a rotor overhead, you've got leverage. Otherwise, we're on our own. So final team was Ortiz, Noah, and Daniel. I went on that one. I didn't argue. I wasn't letting them walk into that line finish without another rifle. We moved north, past where we told ourselves we weren't going to go at night, past the ridge line Anna had told us to leave alone. You could feel that line. Something in your gut said, this is where you stop, and we stepped over it anyway. We found Eli in a shallow dip in the snow like a wind scoop. He was curled up but not buried. No frostbite. No white patches on his cheeks or ears. His eyes were open, but he wasn't tracking us. He was mumbling fast. You had to lean in to hear. There was talking in Louis's voice. He kept whispering. He kept saying he was okay. He said he was warm. He said, come closer. He said, don't tell my mom. Daniel crouched and put a hand on the kid's head. He didn't pick him up right away. He just looked around first. That told me something. He wasn't celebrating yet. He was checking for a bill. Louis Crow's parka was in the snow next to Eli. Heavy, fur-lined hood. Blood on the cuff. Louis himself was not there. We started to pull Eli up. He fought at first, weak like sleep. Then he just sagged. We slung him over Daniel's shoulder. Kid wasn't big. He felt light. That's when it stepped out. I'm not going to dress it up. I won't give you campfire description garbage. I'll tell you what I saw. They came out of the tree line about maybe 20, 30 yards off. Close enough I could see detail even in that weak morning gray. It was standing upright. Skin pale like old freezer burn. Tight over long bones. Everything stretched wrong. Joints swollen like knots of wood. Elbows low. Arms long. Fingers longer. Chest sunk in except for the ribs, which pushed out hard enough you could count them. The mouth was split and torn down the sides, like the cold had cracked it open wider than a person's jaw should go. Teeth weren't in a nice row. They were jutting forward like splinters jammed up from the gums. Broken, uneven, sharp. Lips frozen back. Its eyes caught light and threw it back. Same way a deer's eyes flash in a spotlight. But deer eyes face out to the side. This thing's eyes were front-facing, locked on us. You could hear bone grind when it shifted weight. Slow, testing. It didn't scream. It didn't rush. It just watched us. Ortiz didn't raise her rifle. That was hard to watch. Every part of me wanted to dump a mag into it. Instead, she said, "Low, Noah." Noah stepped forward a half step. Not enough to leave the group. Just enough to square himself. He looked at it. Direct, not challenging, not begging. Then he spoke in Ojibwe. Slow, firm, the way you talk to someone at the edge of a fight who you don't want to shoot but will if you need to. I didn't know the words. Later, Ortiz told me what he said. He said, "We know you. We're leaving. We're not staying here tonight. There's nothing left here for you." That was it. Not prayer. Not insult. Boundary. That thing tilted its head, like it was thinking about it. Like it understood territory talk, understood price. That was the worst part for me. Not the teeth. Not the eyes. The understanding. It did not charge. It did not chase. It watched us pull out with Eli. It let us walk. And the way it watched us, real slow, tracking each one of us, reading us, I swear to you, that thing wasn't scared of our rifles. It was doing math. Weather finally broke that afternoon. Sky thinned. Snow eased off. You could hear engines far out. That was the best sound I've ever heard. County plows started grinding their way up from the south. The guard called in a medevac for Halvorsen and Eli. We staged them both in the gym with blankets and heat packs and got them ready to go. Anna didn't go. Daniel didn't go. We told them they should come south, warm up, get checked out. Anna said, "This is my land." Daniel said, "Ain't leaving her here alone." That was that. We loaded Eli on the bird first. He was alive. He was talking a little by then. He wouldn't look north. We loaded Halvorsen after. He was pale, weak, bleeding through dressings but stable. Cho never left his side. Didn't even pretend he wasn't scared for him. Cho talked nonstop like always. Hey man, you're gonna get a cool scar. You're gonna tell college girls a bear did it. They're gonna love you. You'll be fine. Stop whining. You're embarrassing the uniform. Halvorsen didn't answer. He kept his eyes shut. His jaw was tight. He looked like he was still hearing something we couldn't. Then came the paperwork. Of course there was paperwork. The after-action report that went up the chain said this: 1 civilian located with mild hypothermia. 1 guardsman injured by large predator, possibly black bear stressed by storm and limited food access. Area remains high risk for wildlife activity. Recommend DNR presence and controlled access north of ridge until carcass sites are cleared. Tribe advised to limit night movement. That's the official story. No mention of bare human-shaped footprints in sub-zero snow weighing 300 pounds. No mention of radio traffic coming back as whispers. No mention of a deer hung 8 feet off the ground without rope. No mention of our own names called from the tree line. No mention of frost crawling on the inside of a glass. No mention of Halvorsen speaking in Anna's voice. No mention of anything watching us like it was training on us. Halvorsen signed that report. Ortiz watched him do it. He didn't argue. He didn't try to sneak truth in. He just signed. Then he handed the page back like it was over. They medevaced him out. He rehabbed downstate. Transfer after. Desk job. He won't talk about that night. You bring it up at a reunion, he'll walk. Joe didn't sleep right for months. He'd wake up swearing something tall was standing in his apartment doorway, watching. He told me that once after too much beer. Said he kept his A bag by the bed for like a year because he couldn't not. Ortiz stayed in. Made rank. Good career. But I never again heard her crack jokes about ghost stories when we did hurricane relief or tornado cleanup on other reservations. She always listened to whoever the locals said to listen to. If an elder said, "Don't go there after dark," we didn't go there after dark. She made sure. She never told command, "I saw a monster." She wasn't stupid. She also wasn't going to feed the state some spooky legends so they could turn it into a tourism story and stomp all over that land, acting like it was theirs. She kept that part off paper. She said once, "That wasn't ours to report." I get that now. Noah. He went quiet in a different way after. Before, he was quiet like watchful. After, he was quiet like he'd made peace with something ugly. He stayed up there a while, helped his relatives dig out cabins and fix lines and get through the rest of that freeze. Before we pulled out, when we were staging to load trucks and go south, Ortiz asked him, "So what do you think it is, really?" He said, "It's not a story." "It's real," he said, "but it doesn't act crazy. It acts like something that's been allowed to live out there because people knew the rules and followed them." Ortiz said, "Which rule did we break?" He looked north. He said, "Don't wander the North Ridge after dark." That night, after we were gone, Daniel did something I didn't see but I heard about later from Noah. Daniel went to the North Ridge at dusk. He left meat, not deer meat. Not human. Don't go there. Just meat. An offering. A deal. After that, nobody else went missing that winter. State called it storm panic. Said the boy got turned around and we found him fast. Said Halvorsen got hit by a desperate black bear and got lucky. Said the deer kill and other stories were normal winter predation exaggerated by stress. They said it calm like they believed it, and they moved on. The people there went back to normal. Or what passes for normal when you live next to a thing like that and you already knew you weren't alone out there. So that's the end of our video. If you made it this far, make sure to hit like and subscribe. It really helps the channel and it's free. And if you want more terrifying encounters like this one, check out the other videos on screen right now. Thanks for watching and stay safe out there. See you soon.